to make important one-on-one connections than Mr. Gary V, who is somewhere welcoming people into the room now. Let's give a big, big, big South by Southwest hand to Jib Jab Gary V. There you are. Hey, how are you? Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. So I mainly want to go into Q&A, which I will. Hugh, your Q&A just now was riveting. I enjoyed it backstage. I plan on doing the same thing. I'm not sure if we're going to throw up my hashtag, but I think it's AskGaryV, V-E-E. I want to welcome everybody to South by. I remember 7 years ago when I came to my first one, I went to this session. You know, when you're a noob or the first time, you know, you kind of want to figure out what to do. I remember being enthralled with the people that were on stage. I was paying attention very quickly. And it was a very good time. It was an exciting time. I hope everybody has a great, great weekend. Let me get into the things that I think matter. And then I want to go into questions, and I'm thrilled to answer any South by questions that I feel I can answer, but I know a lot of people have been watching the Twitter stream, are here and have context on me and my career overall, so any questions I can answer about anything from social to selling wine, what the Jets are going to do in the off season, I'm thrilled to answer all those questions. When I think about South by, I think about it in the same way I actually think about everything else in the world, which is there's a couple core things that everybody needs to do here, I think, to maximize their experience. The truth is, and let's call it what it is, the reason most people don't get the most out of South by when they come is because the far majority of people in this conference room right now, and the far majority of people in this building, and the far majority of people that have come and visited Austin are fucking takers, right? And let's put that into context. The amount of people here that will spend 98% of their time saying, hey, check out my app, right? You've got to check out my business, or hey, you've got to really come to my party, or hey, go do this, or do this for me, give me this, give me your fucking money for my piece of shit startup, come to my party that's gonna suck shit. All the people are asking, and it's really maps just to what happens in the way we actually live, and the people that actually break out are the ones that flip it. I would ask you, if you want to have success, or you want to rock out fucking South by, let me give you one basic thought, that if you can take the time for 2 simple days, and for once in your professional career, have the patience to actually provide value up front, and let the cards fall where they will afterwards, I promise you, the lifetime value or the long-term value of this event will be dramatically greater. See, was one person clapping for that? I heard it over here. It was that dude, right? We need to hug it the fuck out after this talk. Actually, come up right now. Let's fucking provide value right the fuck now. Get up here, dude. Hurry up, dick. So let's think about what's happening right now in real fucking time, right? I give my opening rant, right? You decide to clap, which brought me value because it was positive reinforcement that I'm looking for as a public speaker, right? I then counter you doing a good thing for me to bring you up here, and now I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to say hello and tell the world what you're about. Let's see how you do, Kylie. Nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you, thank you. My name is Kylie Dorton. I'm a beatboxer from Atlanta, Georgia.
This is getting better by the fucking second. Do you see what I'm talking about, assholes? Give and good shit happens. Fucking beatboxer. I thought you were gonna say you're a fucking UI designer or something.
And I'm a UI designer. No, really, I build startups in Atlanta.
Are you a UI designer?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
You know you're beatboxing, right?
Okay. Will you freestyle?
Yeah, no.
Yes? Okay.
Clap it up for this man. And Kylie's parents had a real good marriage.
Yes, thank you.
Now, we're gonna show people how South by works. Now we're all gonna collectively take out our smartphones, which we already have. Do you have a Twitter handle?
Yeah.
All right, now, Twitter sucks shit in explaining how their product works, so do not start your tweet with Kylie's Twitter handle. Say, hey, at
Kylie O, that's Kylie 0.
So K-I-L-E-Y, the number 0. So now I'm gonna pause for 41 seconds while everybody takes out their smart devices and says, hey, at K-I-L-E-Y, the number 0. You could say he has mad, beatbox skills. You could say his beard is fucking epic. You could say he's kind of cute. You can say whatever the fuck you want, but let's give this man some love and let's clap it up for him. Listen, there's gonna be the cool parties to go to. Make sure you follow me on Twitter for my secret wine party. I'm thinking about doing it tonight, so definitely come to that. There's gonna be the great keynotes. There's gonna be the things you wanna get to. But at the end of the day, the reason I continue to come back to this event while all my douchebag Silicon Valley friends go, oh, it's fucking sold out, it's too busy for my fucking dick. Fuck you. Here's why it's good, and here's why I come back. The truth is, there could be 9 million people that come to this event. You, as a human being, have the ability to make this a very big event or a very small event. You have the ability. The reason I come back is because so many of my friends, who I think are the smartest people in this space, and I will get together tonight at 1 o'clock in the morning in one of the hotel rooms, and we'll do what we call a jam session, where for 2 to 4 hours, we'll literally debate, is Secret gonna make money? What about Bitcoin? All the topics that I'm passionate about, being in business, living in this world, about my subject matter. So, I come to South by to have lots of people. Hugh says it's not about one-to-many. For me, it is. Right now, this is about one-to-many, right? It's about one-to-many. It's also gonna be one-to-one. When I was standing out there on the way here, I met a nice young gentleman from Kansas City. He's got a fat-ass Chiefs hat. I see it right now. And I got to spend my 2 minutes with him, know that he's run a digital agency for 8 years, and I got to have my one-to-one moment. Me and fucking Kylie, we're fucking family by now, right? I got to have that moment. So, I'm just really fucking tired of everybody saying, oh, this is too crowded, or this is too long of a line, or it's sold out, or there's too many people, or that you are 100% in charge of your life. Stop fucking bitching. That's how I found value at South by. I'll tell you a story. My first year here, I came, 2008. I was excited. I wanted to meet all the people, Tim Ferriss and Kevin Rose. I was in it. I knew it. I didn't, I had the wine show. I was surprised how many people knew my wine show because I didn't think it bled into tech yet. Ran into Jason Fried, and he said, oh, I love your wine show. I was like, holy shit, Jason Fried from fucking 37 Signals. No, I was getting excited. And it was the first night. I was getting pumped. There's parties. I'm like, oh shit, nerd parties, cool. So there was a party. It was called the 16-bit party, right? It was put on by like Dig and a couple of other people, and I was super pumped. I ran over to where it was, took one of these pedicabs because I'm lazy and I don't like to walk. I got there, and there's a fucking line, and it's long. And I'm like, shit, this line is long. And we're waiting, and then I finally got frustrated, and I recalled that eating my own dog food about providing value up front, I did that. Before I came to South by in 2008, I shipped down 10 cases of wine from the wine library because I was in a wine business at the time, and that's what I was doing. And I brought it mainly to share with people. I figured I'm gonna learn about tech. I might as well educate these UI designers on how to drink some fucking Pinot Noir. So I shipped the wine down, and I didn't know what I was really gonna do with it. Sure enough, I'm sitting in line, everybody's getting frustrated. It was the first year South by took a big jump in growth of people coming. People were frustrated by line. So Twitter was only about a year old. I was doing pretty well on it. I'm told my friends and a couple other people, let's leave this line, let's go back to the hotel. I've got wine, right? Like free liquor, everybody gets fucking pumped, right? So we leave. I tweet out with my 2,000 fans at the time, hey, I'm at the lobby of the Marriott Hotel, and all these people started showing up. And really, very honestly, for a lot of you that are curious, that wine party, now called the Secret Wine Party, in 2008, early 2008, in a lot of ways was my breakout moment in the tech space. It was the time when I got to meet a far majority of people. A lot of people talked about it. But when you think about the seed in which it came from, I was obsessed with the notion of paying forward first. I will promise you, whether it's South by, whether it's the growth of your business, whether it's the way you live your life as a human being, if every person in this room could actually figure out how it actually works, which is the leverage of providing value first, always puts you in the right position for what you're personally trying to achieve, you have a much bigger upside. This is the event. My friend Andrew Hyde wore a t-shirt in 2009. It said, "Don't pitch me, bro." This is the event where every single person comes with an objective to close. And the way to actually break out is to reverse it. You know, to me, this is an event where a lot of introverts come that need to figure out how to become extroverted, because it becomes it's kind of, it's easy to say like, hey, say hello to random strangers, right? It's easy to stand on stage for me and Hugh and say hello and do that, but in real life, a lot of people are uncomfortable with it. I don't know what works for you. Use Tinder. I don't give a fuck what you do. There'll be a lot of use Tinder. By the way, that's my third point. Use Tinder. That's my third, bullet to win at South by. It's very basic. I think this is a great weekend. I hope everybody enjoys it. I think that you need to provide value. I would stress patience. If you could be the second person telling the person what you do and what you want to happen, you've already won. I do think that serendipity matters. I'll go a little bit left field on you though. I actually use South by as a 25% farming or retention play instead of hunting and acquiring. When somebody says to you, meet new people, say hello to the person, the dumb shit that people do at conferences, like say hello to the person to the left and right of you that you're fucking sitting with. I actually think it's a good idea right now, but I don't want to say it that way, so I'll think of a creative way to say it. That's fine and dandy, and I would call that hunting, acquiring new people, creating that serendipity. Do not underestimate what South by brings to the table at scale of actually connecting with old friends. I promise you that, at least for me, one of the top value propositions that I get from South by is when I live in, I live in New York. When I'm in New York, I'm fucking working my face off. And I'm spending time with my family. It blows my head off that I spend more time with my friends in New York at South by than I do in New York, right? So one thing I would tell you is to kind of go through probably your contacts on your phone and think about people that maybe you don't see as much as you'd like back home. They're probably here as well. I would allocate at least a good 20% of your time trying to, what I call farm, reinvest in the relationships that you already have instead of trying to find new ones with everybody. So that's one that I don't think a lot of people talk about that I would highly recommend thinking about. Look, I really am, a lot of you have a feel for me. I'm not super interested in telling you how to handle your business over the next 4 days. I'd much rather provide you guys value while I've got you here. In doing what I most believe in, I don't get to spend as much time with a lot of you individually or even in a collective group. So if you guys can throw up the Ask Gary V hashtag, and if you guys can bring up who's ever asking me these questions that's coming up here, I'd like you all to start asking me questions. I'd like to provide value. I have no idea yet. I'm excited. I'm not looking. You coming? What's up, man? What's your name?
I'm Sean.
Sean. Are you on, Sean?
I think so.
I don't think you're on.
I don't think so either.
Can we put Sean's fucking mic on? Sean?
Gary. Okay, so he just reminded you, but please tweet your questions to AskGaryVEE, and we'll filter through them with the help of our friends at Mass Relevance. And so the first question comes from Brian Williams, and he asks, can we ask the signer to teach us how to say fuck in sign language? It'll be a gift that keeps on giving.
Signer? Interpreter, I appreciate it. Can you show the crowd how we interpret the word fuck? F-U-C-K. And is that what you do? Do you spell it out?
Fuck is not sign language. Fuck is not sign language. It's a gesture, just letting you know.
Thank you so much. There you go, Brian.
All right, our next question is from Lisa Rutel, and she asks, in your opinion, what brands are doing digital well? Would love it if you name your top 3 picks.
So this is always a tough question. For the people that don't know, currently I'm running a 300-person digital social agency called VaynerMedia. Thank you. So we have 80 brands that we're working with. For some of you here, I think I'm doing a book signing right after this. It's a good time to plug it. I'll be doing a book signing right after this. So if you have your book, or I think they have books, I'd love to see you. So the book that's there and the book that I'm just referencing, the reason I just brought it up is I just wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook, which looked at the pieces of content that all the brands are putting out there and who's doing it best. You know, the truth is, what's the name of the person asked? Do you remember? Lisa, was it?
Lisa.
Lisa, the problem for me is so this is a good opportunity for me to talk to you philosophically of how I think about my business. One of the reasons I think I've had success in business in all my chapters of my career is I stay on the offense. And this is something I'm completely fascinated by. And so I want to give this answer because I think it's going to help a lot of people in the room no matter what you do. I'm almost incapable of playing defense when it comes to business. Playing defense, based on this question, would be me spending time looking at what brands are doing on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine that aren't my own or mine, right? Because I'd want to see what other people are doing. There's a lot of reason to do that. I respect why one wants to do that. I have zero interest in that. I spend absolutely all my time looking at what I think human beings are doing and trying to figure out how to bring them value no matter what the brand does or what. It's all the same game. At the end of the day, we all know that we're getting bombarded with brands, businesses, opportunities. It's the whole South by thing in a nutshell, isn't it? The real answer is, how do you provide value? I don't need to see how Puma or Nissan are doing it for me to figure out how to do it best or how to do it. And so the truth is, I stay on offense. I'd much rather test, rinse and repeat, try to learn authentically and organically with the community that has opted in to hear from me than thinking that there's any psychological connection between a sneaker brand and the cereal brand that I'm working on right now. So for me, that is a very tough question that I hate when it gets asked, because there's two ways for me to go. One, I can answer it not authentically and just headline read and pick a Taco Bell because I've seen people say they do it well. The truth is I haven't done the work to answer it. The reason I don't like the question is it sounds douchey by not giving an answer, so I'm kind of fucking stuck on this tough fucking first question.
All right, next question is from Jim Foreman. He asks, can you give your sign language interpreter a pat on the back? I can't believe how well she's keeping up with you.
A pat on the back? She's killing it. Absolutely. No, wait, there's another person now.
She went that way.
Let's give, for the interpreter, a round of applause, please. And a preemptive one over here. More. That was lame. Do it again. Awesome. Let's go.
Steven in Contrera asks, will Google Plus ever be necessary?
So this is a conversation I'm completely, so I have been saving tweets and opt-in pieces from my smartest friends who say that Google Glass is a terrible technology and this is dumb shit and it makes you look like a glass hole and it's stupid and only nerds will do it. I am utterly stunned by the lack of chess moves and seeing where, guys, I have bad news. We're all gonna become fucking robots. And a lot of people are sitting here and saying no. It's the same people that said they're not gonna go on Twitter 7 years ago, or ever have a Facebook account, or ever download Snapchat, you fucking liars, right? So where I try to make all my money, and why I think I will be able to buy the New York Jets one day, is I spend all my time thinking about what you think you're not gonna do that I know you're going to do. Now, whether Google wins the game of glass, or Apple, or Nike, or fucking Schmickamagoo, who's gonna be started by two of you in here, I have no idea. But if you are confused at the notion that technology will be weaving into our fucking bodies, you do not see what's happening. How many people here, by show of hands, and don't fucking lie, lying is the devil. How many people here, by show of hands, and again, I do not want your head nod, I'm not interested in your half-ass fluttery hand, full hands. How many people here in every 24-hour cycle are always within arm's reach of their cell phone? Raise it. Yeah, bro. Guys, it's happening already. It's happening already. The glasses are just the next step in the equation. And whether it's glass, and listen, if glass doesn't necessarily win, whether it's gonna be something else, earpiece with a little screen here, I mean, how many people here are willing to admit that they would consider the notion of surgically putting their phone into their arm or hand? Raise it. No, raise it. I want you to raise it and don't lie to me. Raise it. Actually, do me a favor, this is important to me. I'm gonna ask this, don't lie, because it fucks up the whole thing. How many people here are willing to admit that they're willing to surgically try, but to input their cell phone into their arm? If you're one of those people, please stand up. Please do that. I just want to see the numbers at this point. I would highly argue, thank you guys, let's clap it up for these freaks. I would highly argue that number would be smaller 24 months ago, and that number is going to be dramatically greater in 24 months. And so I'm stunned by people's pushback on glass when these are the people that pushed for mobile phones, when they, basically that same person 10 years earlier said phones were stupid and we didn't need them. It's the same old game. I think this is a foregone conclusion. The robots are coming. Next.
Mark Shefferman says, very interesting to see you wearing an Airbnb top. They are going to revolutionize the hotel industry. Your thoughts?
Mark, I wear this hoodie to remind me that I was a douche and missed on investing in this phenomenal company. So I wear this out of anger, not happiness. I don't think they're going to revolutionize the hotel industry. I think they're going to ruin the hotel industry as we know it. I'm completely fascinated by marketplace dynamics. I was lucky enough to not make the same mistake and invest in Uber. Some of you might know that I just launched a new $25 million fund called Vayner RSC. Much of the focus will be in marketplace. I totally agree, Mark. I think they're an incredible company run by really great people. Going to be really interesting to watch them evolve over the next half decade. I would tell you, for all the how many people here by show of hands consider themselves entrepreneurs? Just curious. Amazing. So for more than half of you in this room, I would spend a lot of time thinking every night, no matter what you do for a living, of where is there inefficiency in our society and where will technology solve that problem? Because I am blown away by people's lack of understanding that Uber and Airbnb and things like Storefront, they're just the beginning. I mean, there is going to be a lot of stuff coming in this space of creating efficiency, and you're seeing it with like doctors and laundry cleanup services. There's a lot coming. Guys, every person in this room values the following things in this order, I hope. Family and health, money, and the one that most people don't talk about, time. Time is what we all give a shit. How many people here remember the last time their internet in their office or home that they've got accustomed to was 1/100th of a second slower than it normally is? You remember how fucking pissed you were? Time. People use Uber, they're buying time, not the service. And so we value time tremendously, and convenience and all these other things, and so keep an eye on that.
Alexander Tange asks, how do you meet relevant people at South by Southwest?
You know, Alexander, I think the first opening move is to get out of the mentality of douchery that justifies and categorizes people that, did he say relevant?
I believe so.
Did he? I want to make sure I'm using the right word. It was relevant. Alex, honestly, I don't know, like, if I could execute what was happening in my stomach right now when I hear people categorize other human beings as relevant, it makes me want to vomit on myself. But I don't think you're a bad guy, Alexander. I think you're asking a proper question. I would say, first of all, relevancy is massively subjective, right? Like, there's people that have a lot of followers, that have influence, that are VCs, that are whatever you're looking for. I would tell you, I promise you, that again, I think you're seeing a theme in my talk, guys. I'm a very big fan of the second chess move in life. If you're just trying to get to this person, everybody's trying to get to this relevant fucking person. And so what happens is it becomes a supply and demand issue where you're getting pounded on, you're not breaking through because they're defending against the supply. But Alex, when you open yourself up to meeting somebody who might not be a relevant person by your definition, there are a shitload of people running around at South by Southwest that if you have a drink with and say hello are the exact person that's the gateway to 30 minutes of my time at South by Southwest. But on paper with their 306 Twitter followers, it's not gonna seem so obvious. I promise, when you stop strategizing people's fucking clout and you start acting like a human being, you will win. Give me some for that one. You liked it, right? Give me a little something.
Kylie Dorton, your energy though. How do you sustain it?
No.
Where's your
your
work stamina?
energy though.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
How do you sustain it? Where does your work stamina come from?
Is that Kylie? Kylie, you're such a dick. You
Yes.
already had your fucking 5 minutes of fame. Guys, let's collectively boo Kylie now. Boo. You fucking 6 second. You're like a Vine. You're like a 6 second. You got your 5 seconds. All right. I'll answer it. It's a good question. You know, the reason I want to answer it is because I think it's going to come from a good direction that I want people to I think I want people to actually jump on this bandwagon. My energy, all of it, comes from one place: gratitude. I am so grateful for the fact that I was born in Belarus in the former Soviet Union, which is the least capitalistic place, and had the serendipity of luck to be able to immigrate out of that country when I was 3 years old and come to this remarkable country for entrepreneurship. You know, I hate when people hate on this country. I wish my dad was here right now. When people hate on this country, my dad's Russian accent hits like 11 on the Richter scale. He's like, these fucking stupid Americans don't understand. And it's because there's just so much good. Sure, there's bad. There's tons of bad. There's tons of bad in everything. But it's all about weighing the options. And so I'm driven by gratitude that I was lucky enough to come to this country, and where, you know, being an entrepreneur is a celebrated thing. My kind of personality is a celebrated thing. I'm grateful because of the health and well-being of my family. Unfortunately for me, I lost 3 of my 4 grandparents before I knew them. So I've had a long run of living a life without a lot of that ultimate pain. I'm grateful for the fact that my mother and father, though very different, are an incredible pair of parents that really, you know, reverse engineered who I was about. You know, I'm an immigrant, and the way immigrants get out of their situation, which was we were poor, is through education, at least on paper. And the fact that I was a DNF student, and my mom, and then later my dad, let me be the entrepreneur that I was, let me sell $3,000 worth of baseball cards a weekend, even though I was getting Fs, enabled me to become who I was. And so I'm thankful for that they were big thinking and didn't get caught up in the conversation of all their contemporaries. So I'm driven by gratitude. I'm just so thankful. Do you know how grateful I am? Thank you. Do you know how grateful I am that this many people want to come and hear what the hell I have to say? It's an incredibly ridiculous feeling. I was grateful when I had 9 Twitter followers, let alone 1 million. Like 9 fucking people want to hear your 2 cents. I'm just very, 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 very grateful. I will never take it for granted. I understand the perspective of it all. And I hate watching so many people look at half glass full when their glass is 4/5 full. I'm grateful when I have 1 drop in the glass because I'm like, I know what to do with that fucking drop. Thank you.
Matthew says you mentioned on, help me pronounce that. James Altucher show that you work 24 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and unplug on the weekends. How do you manage to unplug?
Yeah. I managed to unplug only because of perspective. About 1.5 years ago, I was coming home, and I got excited because Lizzie and I, my wife, planned a trip to Turks and Caicos for 4 days. And I was so pumped. I couldn't wait to go with her, and I was so happy. And then I got really sad because I realized it was so tough. Why was I happy? I was happy because we had 2 young kids, and it's tough to get away with, you know, just the 2 of us for 4 days and spend some quality time together. And I got really sad, Matt, because I realized, holy shit, those last 5, 6 years before we had kids, when I was building Wine Library and Wine Library TV, and I went 24/7 Monday through Monday, and I just kind of sat in the cab. It was a very short ride, and I was like, you know, I fucking blew it. Like, I could have went on 2 more one-week vacations with the woman that I loved, and that would have been 10 amazing trips of great memories and time together that there's nothing I can do to get that back. And so, you know, I don't think I'm super smart or really know any more than anybody or I'm so goddamn great. What I think I do well is I adjust. I'm a good halftime adjustments. I'm always auditing my life, myself, my businesses, the marketplace, the opportunities. And so I took that moment to say, I'm not gonna wake up in 7 years and be like, my kids are 7 now, and they're always at soccer games every weekend and this and that. And so I unplugged very easily once I made the mental decision. I always tell my brands, my startups, guys, this isn't tactical. This is a mentality. You have to decide that you give a fuck about your customer, not say it with some bullshit mission statement on your about section, right? So I would say things, but I wasn't executing against it. I wasn't all the way there. I was still not there. At that moment, I made that decision, which then made not checking my email or engaging with you guys on the weekends super simple, because I knew what my mission statement was. I knew what I cared about here and here. And when these two things connect, game over. So it's been super simple. But I needed to remember that I was a workaholic, an entrepreneur, I'm ambitious as fuck, so I created a system that worked for me. Right now, and it will change, but right now in my life, going all in Monday through Friday, which is 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. working, and then checked out on the weekends, and then going from 2 weeks vacation to 7 weeks vacation is working for me. And I've got another year or two of it, but then I know Misha's gonna start stuff, and I'm gonna wanna go to that game or that recital or things like that, so I'll adjust. But how do I unplug? Because I fucking love my kids. Thank you. Thank you.
Monica asks, where is there inefficiency in our society and how can we improve?
Monica. Fucking kind of question is that? I mean, there's unlimited inefficiency. Monica, here's the way to actually answer it, and this is what I'm trying to do. I love this, by the way. Here's what I'm trying to do in figuring out how to answer this question. Anytime I am frustrated because something isn't happening as fast or as proper as I'd like, I find it to be inefficient. So for example, I actively stand in front of you right now with a grooming cavity in my mouth. There's a cavity forming in my mouth. And it's pissing me off because I really need to go to the dentist. I'm not joking. I know everybody's like, what the fuck is he talking about? I, right now, know in the top left corner of my mouth that a cavity is forming. I'm starting to fundamentally, slightly feel it. It's gonna fucking hurt in a couple of weeks when it fully goes to root canal phase, right? The reason there's an inefficiency is I'm so fucking busy that I can't get to my fucking dentist, right? And I haven't prioritized it mentally enough that the pain for a day is worth the time right now. And I'm really upset about it. If there was an app like Uber that let me hit a button and a dentist could come to my office, I would do it right now. Monica, let's start that service together. We'll call it Tooth. But the joke of that all is I went into that rant is it's true. We prioritize other things over other things. And if we can figure out where there's inefficiencies, there's a lot. The next time you're frustrated about being late or something's taking up too much time, realize, unlike 10 years ago and 15 years ago, when the internet started hitting its groove, when entrepreneurs like ourselves started to figure out how to fix this business, the infrastructure and scale wasn't there. Every business that failed in 94 to 99 is actually gonna succeed over the next 30 to 40 years once the infrastructure meets the mission. And so, it was too early for Uber couldn't have worked when we didn't have cell phones at scale and app culture and all these other variables, but it can today. So think about what the current technology can solve that has already been accepted as a non-solvable issue because it failed 5 to 7 years ago.
All right, Stefan asks, do you swear as much when you pitch clients or partners?
You know, Stefan, this is a tough subject for me. I used to have a lot of pride 5 years ago in the fact that I really only curse on stage, mainly because I grew up obsessed with Richard Pryor, right? And I've psychoanalyzed this because, you know, I curse a lot on stage and it's kind of weird, and there's people in this room who have no idea who I am, who've been turned off by my language and can't hear all the other good stuff. So I've always psychoanalyzed it, and I convinced myself that, well, at least I only curse on stage, and I don't curse in real life, and that was true in 2007, 8, 9. The problem is, and you can see where I'm going, you start getting into practice on stage, and it starts slowly sweeping into your regular life. I don't curse anywhere close to by percentage as I do by stage, but I've cursed at a client here or there, and in pitches. I'm very comfortable in who I am. I know what my objectives are. I know they're pure. As a matter of fact, I sometimes use my cursing as a filter to filter out people who are only willing to look at surface level, who are not usually the kind of people I want to do business with in the first place.
Scott Rodriguez says, you're really big about your word. What's the biggest personal sacrifice you had to make to keep your word?
My selfishness. The worst thing about keeping your word is your short-term selfishness, right? Like, keeping your word costs you. I'm so fucking pissed, Scott, at all the scheduled things that I have at South by over the next 2 days. You cannot imagine. I literally woke up this morning, went to go take a poop, took my phone, looked at my schedule, and I said, holy shit. Literally 80% of these meetings I do not want to take. There's too much going on. Why did I do this? And every part of my body was like, okay, I'm sick. Okay, wait, there's a big business emergency. Like, think about what I'm going to tell my assistant to say to these meetings that I want to cancel, right? And I'm like, I can't do that because I'm petrified. The only thing I care about is my legacy. I like money, but I've always been able to make money, right? I'm obsessed with my legacy. I'm obsessed that young man with the Kansas City Chiefs hat that I met, when he goes back home and my name gets brought up, he's like, no, he's actually, if it comes up like, oh, he thinks he's the fucking greatest. Actually, he's a nice guy. Like, I walked with him to his talk, he was good. Like, I think about that on a one-to-one level every day of my life. So what I'm sacrificing is the short-term selfishness that I want to do instead of what I'm doing, or use that money in a different way, or all these things. Long-term, though, my biggest objective in life, my complete North Star, is to have as many people show up to my funeral as possible. I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Rebecca Donahue says, loved your newest book.
Love you, Rebecca.
She didn't love you, she loved your book.
That's me, bro.
Oh, okay.
You clearly have never written a book, dick.
But does one bad tweet break a brand, or is it more about the overall quality of content?
Yeah, Rebecca, I think this is the most interesting thing. I am dumbfounded by the lack of knowledge that no one tweet, guys, BP oil spilled all of the fucking oil in the world into the Gulf of Mexico, and you assholes still fill up your car with it, and so do I. There's a complete lack of understanding of what cripples an actual business. The fact that billion-dollar fucking brands sit in a room scared that one tweet that wasn't so good, like, woe is me, you're not going out of business, idiot. So, you can see I'm excited about this issue. I believe intent trumps all. I believe intent trumps all. We're all gonna make a mistake. I actually believe that saying you're sorry in today's society, when none of us actually want to say it, is so powerful that sometimes I think about doing things wrong just so I could come out and say I'm sorry, because I think it's an actual net positive win for me. And so, yeah, I mean, I think this is a ludicrous conversation. Of course you're gonna make mistakes. That's what happens when 22-year-old interns are managing your social media. And, and that's what's gonna happen. And that's okay, and you have to go out and own it and say you're sorry. I promise you, all the brands that are worried about their tweets, they need to worry about their product. They've got bigger issues at hand than some random tweet when they got a piece of shit product. You guys like that one, huh? All right, I'm paying attention.
All right, Molly asks, which Bitcoin panel are you most pumped about?
Do you know what kills me about Bitcoin? Is I wish that I was smart. If I was intellectually smart, not just emotionally smart, I would have made a fortune on Bitcoin. I just don't understand it whatsoever. All my friends, all my contemporaries are like, Gary, they always start with like, all right, central banking, right? And I'm like, fuck. Because then they're talking for 20 minutes and I'm like thinking about the Jets defensive line because I don't know what the fuck, I don't know shit about central banking. And then of course I try to educate myself and I Google it and then I get bored by the second line. So no, I don't know anything about Bitcoin. I don't give a fuck about a Bitcoin panel. I bought some Bitcoin at the height of the market. I lost. I deserve it because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
The Daily Pursuit wants to know, what is one sentence that inspires you every day?
Legacy is greater than currency. I'm done. I went long pause for effect.
Daniel Ortiz asks, what is your prediction for the next big thing to come out of South by Southwest this year?
So I think a lot of people think that I've predicted things. I've never predicted anything, right? Here's what I do. Vine came out June 30th last year. It came out. I knew it was already owned by Twitter. I knew that Jack, who has predicted things and made things that became the future, bought it, thus giving me context to pay attention to it. So for the first 2 weeks of February, from 11 p.m. at night when I got home till 2:30 in the morning, because I was executing on being a good operator as a social media thinker, I used that product every day and tried to understand it. After actually using it, I figured out, okay, this platform has a shot. As somebody, as you guys know, broke out in the early days of YouTube, I saw some parallels, I understood it, and I went all in. Then I started talking about it, fast and furious. I didn't predict Vine, I just fast followed. I have no fucking idea what's gonna break out of South by, if anything's gonna break out of South by, what's the next big platform. Here's what I do know. The amount of people that talk shit about platforms that they don't use blows my mind. The amount of people that are like, Snapchat's fucking stupid. I'm like, do you use it? They're like, no. Then I'm like, shut your fucking mouth, right? Because if you don't use a product, how are you supposed to judge it? You may also not be the target audience, even if you do use it. So I don't predict what's coming. What I pride myself in is if 5 million people use a product a week after it comes out, it's worth paying attention to. Like, I spent my time on Jelly. I spent my time on Vine. I spent my time on Secret. You know, I'm spending my time on this stuff trying to use my filter to see if there's upside. I'm not predicting, I'm executing. Yeah.
Wells Baum asks, if there was one feature you could add to Snapchat, what would it be?
I would like to do one-to-many, not in story form. You know, I actually when I send snaps to all my followers, I feel like a far bigger percentage doesn't go into the stories UI and just goes in their normal UI that they consume the snaps. So I literally take a picture sometimes and it takes me 60 to 90 minutes to hit all your fucking names one by one. And it's really inefficient. One-to-many, non-stories.
Cameron asks, hey, ask Gary V, how has family life changed your business life?
You know, Cam, I grew up in an immigrant family where family is like so everything, and then I came into my family liquor store business, so I was all in on that. You know, my own personal family life has changed because, you know, it's weird. I was in provider mode from like 17, so it's not like, oh, now I have this responsibility. I felt that responsibility even when I came in. I felt like I had to pay my dad back for what him and my mom did for me. So I guess the biggest thing is that, you know, it's time allocation, it's work-life balance, it's figuring out what works. I'm sure the far majority of people in this room, to some level, even if it's a new boyfriend or girlfriend relationship, even if it's a best friend, even if it's to a parent, we all struggle with time allocation of what we're putting into what we're trying to build business-wise and our careers and what we're trying to do family-wise. The only thing I would ask all of you, I hate when people give advice on this issue because it is so one-to-one. You know, my wife is the most independent woman I know. That's the foundation to why I can hustle as much as I can, because she loves me for what that is, and she's very happy doing her jam and doesn't need me to provide the time, the emotions and all that, of course. But so everybody's got different situations, right? And so what I would tell you is the only thing I would give you advice is try to hack. Whatever you're doing now, next year just try some sort of other variable in it. If you keep evolving year after year, you've got a chance to coming up with a good formula.
Eric Hubble asks, how'd you get Wine Library off the ground, going, and scaling? Well,
I mean, Eric, Wine Library was first my dad's liquor store business called Shoppers Discount Liquors. It was a $3 million a year business that had 4% gross profit, so it wasn't making a net profit, which wasn't making a lot of money. What I did with Wine Library was pretty interesting. It's the thing I still recommend a lot of people here. We didn't have a lot of money. WineLibrary.com launched in 1997. A lot of people were not really buying online at that point. And so what I did was I just got myself involved in the community. The same thing I did with Twitter and what I've later done with any community, what I did was I went to forums and I just became active in every single wine forum on the internet. The way to build a business when you have no money and get a user base is by becoming one of the users, but acting like one of the users instead of somebody who's pitching to one of the users. So I just had ultimate patience. I knew that 1997, 8, 9, 10, 01, 02, 03 was a prerequisite to what I was trying to build. So when I was in the forums, I wasn't trying to sell all these people more Chardonnay or Bordeaux. I was trying to become one of them. And by virtue, that set me up and the awareness of the brand.
Broken records. What is one thing you wish you knew when you started?
Nothing. I'm fundamentally obsessed with the climb. I love climbing. I actually do not love the achievement. If I knew something before I started, it would have given me a quicker race to the achievement of the goal. I'm obsessed with, I love losing. Guys, I love being a Jets fan. It's easy. I love the pain. Everyone's like, sorry, Gary Vee. I'm like, I'm sorry for you, bandwagon Lakers fan. Fuck you. I love the journey. I love the climb. So for me, that question's funny because I wouldn't want to know. I like the pain. I like the mistakes. I like the grind. I like it.
Sterling Doak wants to know, what do you think about retirement? Not like today, but the concept.
Retirement. Yeah, you know, I think, for me, I think we're all seeing this right now. I think work-life balance is a big conversation. I'm a workaholic, I'm a hustler, but I love the fact that people are finding balances that make them happy. I think everybody should do what makes them happy. There's plenty, listen, I have friends that are gonna sell a startup. I have a friend who sold a startup for like $1 million, and after taxes, not a lot of money in the scheme of things. Incredible, I'm not undermining that. But he was a young guy, not necessarily in your, at 32, $1 million exit with post-taxes, not necessarily something you can retire on for the rest of your life. Unless you're my friend who decides to go to some crazy South Asian country I never heard of and smoke weed for the rest of his fucking life. So, you know, I think retirement's different for everybody. The only thing I see in my future that doesn't look like building businesses until the day I die is spending an ungodly amount of time at the racetrack. So I will spend a good portion of my time at the ponies and betting on horses in my 90s, but other than that, I'm working.
Marcus wants to know, beyond Angry Birds and Candy Crush, what's your take on the state of gaming apps and what's next?
Gaming is the hits business. Games are in the same exact business as movies and songs. It's a great business if you know how to make hits. If you're Steven Spielberg, you're gonna win. And if you're not, you're gonna lose. So I think gaming's here to stay, it's growing, it's a foundation of how we live. Gaming's always been there. You know, Hasbro and Mattel build big companies. We like games, we do it forever. People grew up playing video games their whole lives now, so in their 30s and 40s are still gamers. It's a great business, you just have to be great at it. It is completely predicated on being in the hits business. So if you're one of the best storytellers in that genre, you can win, but it is dramatically more competitive. It blows me away how many of my friends sit around brainstorming business ideas, and they're like, let's just build a game. That weird guy just had that fucking bird game, let's just fucking do that. Are you out of your fucking mind? Like you have no idea about gaming. You don't know. You've never even hired an iOS developer. You have no idea about the psychology of gamers. You have no understanding of the current state of the union. We are living through the greatest generation of fake entrepreneurs in the history of our time right now, and that just means a lot of people are gonna lose a lot of money, and that's fine, because that's how it should be, because I was a fake digital currency buyer, and I deserved to lose. So I think it's a great space. I think there'll be lots of winners. I think a lot of people will make money, and I think a lot of people are gonna lose money because it's a little bit of a gold rush right now.
Nicholas Alter asks, what shirt are you wearing right now under the Airbnb jacket?
A plain gray t-shirt.
I'm waiting. Alex Cruz wants to know, what do you struggle with most when dealing with your employees and keeping them productive?
I'm gonna give a weird ass answer. The only thing I struggle with my employees is to get them to believe me when I tell them it is in their best interest to play out their professional careers with me. I have such disproportionate love for my employees out of not being such a great guy, out of selfishness. I love continuity. I love team. I love family. I am so ridiculously heartbroken when we have to let somebody go or somebody leaves that I still laugh at it's awesome and I understand how good it is for me, but it's insane how much it still affects me after all these years. I don't think they believe me yet. We're a new company. I've only been running VaynerMedia day in and day out for 2.5 years. You know, and I'm always scared that they think I'm building a cult or that I'm full of shit or they're cynical. And so every day, all I'm trying to do is figure out what actions can I take one by one with them to get them to buy in so that they do feel jamming with me for the next 2, 3, 4 decades is a good thing for both of us. And so if I can convince them that I genuinely want 49% of the relationship and I'm willing to give them 51 of whatever the pure sense of the relationship is, and I just don't have the buy-in. I have a lot more. In 2014, I would say out of the 300 employees at VaynerMedia, I think I've got 40 of them all in, which is insane because last year was probably 11. So I'm happy, I'm making strides. But it's fun for me as one keeps coming over to the side. And so I'm struggling with the notion of how do I authentically break through their filter to make them realize how incredible this journey is about to be.
Waywire Buzz says, Lady Gaga or Madonna? We're being very serious.
So first off, everybody should know, I suck when it comes to music. Like, my skills when it comes to music are awful. Like, I don't know shit about music. So I'm trying to think about this. I would go with Madonna because she has a longer track record, though the current Madonna freaks me the fuck out. But I respect the long-term career and her evolution. You know, I talked about myself as somebody who likes to adjust. She fucking adjusts, right? Like, so that's where I'd go with at this point.
We do have over 8 minutes left, so keep tweeting. Pete Dirksen asks, favorite restaurants in Austin?
Pete, this is gonna really make you sad. In the 8 years that I've been here, I don't even think I know the name of one restaurant I've been to. It is insane of how little I pay attention to where and what I'm consuming when I'm at South by. Echoing the theme that I've been giving you the whole time, I can remember who I had the dinner with and what we talked about, but I don't know what we were eating. And so I know a lot of people like to talk about barbecue. I don't know if I give a shit about barbecue. As a matter of fact, I do. I don't give a shit about barbecue. So, sorry, man.
AJ Smith wants to know, what is your best advice or tangible advice to a young 33 hungry financial advisor using your principles?
You know, AJ, I would tell you that the tangible advice is, like, let me give you theoretical advice and then tangible. Tangible is, you know, if you're a financial advisor, if you know exactly who here's something everybody should really think about. If you know exactly what you want to be, you need to spend as much time with people that are actually that already. I have this insane concept of what MBAs should really be doing. Like I've been thinking a lot about like, fuck man, like these business schools are getting $100,000, $200,000, putting these kids in debt and giving them nothing that's real in the actual business world versus the leverage of, the last 40 conversations I've had with a business school person is, yeah, you know, the content isn't really what I'm paying for, it's the relationships. I'm like, you could buy those relationships for less than $150. You're a bad fucking business person. The advice I'd give you is, if there's a financial advisor that you want to be like, literally stop making money right now and go spend a year with her or him and figure out everything that person does. Take one step back to go 10 steps forward. That's what I would do, seriously. By the way, that's what I would do with every single person here. If you're a solid UI, UX designer that happens to also be a really good beatboxer, and you think that there's another great UI, UX designer that you want to be like, I would really debate taking one step back and literally going to work for her for a year for half of what you make now, because the IP and the nuances, guys, all the basic shit has been figured out. Information is a commodity. Like, it's never been worse to be information smart than it is today. Like, remember 10, 15, 20, 40, 50 years ago when being smart about something mattered? What do you want to know? Everything you want to know is in your fucking hand on your phone informationally. I'm so pissed that my daughter is gonna go through a school system where they're gonna teach her information that she has to memorize for a few minutes for a test and then move on when that thing is in her fucking hand. So, we're living in a world where all the IQ value is shrinking by the second, and all the EQ value is exponentially exploding as our reputations become more and more of what matters. And so I would tell you to go and spend time with the person you want to be like. Two things are gonna happen. One, you might find out that you actually don't like that person very much, and you're gonna, when you dig under the hood and figure out the nuances, and that will help you figure out who you want to be as a person. And two, you may find out that that's awesome, and you want to replicate those actions to get there.
John asks, what digital media skills do you think students need to be learning in schools today?
Taking action. You know, like in schools today, they should be handling Twitter accounts for fake businesses. They should be producing content and making infographics for Pinterest. They should be buying ads on the Outbrain exchange. They should be doing shit instead of memorizing shit. It's so obvious. I'm actually so pissed at this fucking crowd for not clapping more on that issue because it's so ridiculous. And by the way, that's what's going on in our organization. I think VaynerMedia has exploded really quickly because most of our 22 to 23 to 24-year-olds come in and are given the keys to the cat. They have to do a ton of shit. There's no get me a coffee in our world. They're like fucking like, go win. Like, we need far more openness and much more entrepreneurial efforts in everything. We need to stop boxing people in. It blows my mind that this is America and most corporate companies treat their businesses like communism. They don't trust their employees, they don't let them do this, they don't let them do that. There's fucking 8,000 levels of process to eliminate us doing fucking anything. So.
Roy Lamanna wants to know, how do you find great talent in terms of employees?
Roy, hire at scale. See, this is where people are confused. I've seen every program, every thesis, every great HR person, every process, every test to find great employees, and lots of them don't work out. Because once human dynamics happen, human dynamics happen. The game, guys, isn't, if you're thinking about hiring, the game isn't about hiring smarter, it's about firing faster. I'm being dead serious. Don't fucking laugh. You know, like if it's not working out, you need to figure out how to take that person out of the equation. You need to do right by that person. One of the things I do, because this is my thesis, is I mentally think you're gonna get paid for 6 months, even though you may get fired for 2 months. Do you know what it looks like when you fire somebody in 2 months and give them a 4-month exit package? That's what makes me feel good about firing fast. It's still more valuable. It's about firing fast. You just don't know. You just don't know. You do, sometimes it feels right. Sometimes you have an interview and you're like, yes. I mean, I remember interviewing somebody and I was like, this woman is gonna change my business. Meant to be a very positive thing. That woman changed my fucking business in a very negative way and took me like 6 weeks to figure out how to get her out of there. And so you just sometimes never know. And I feel like I have great EQ, great judgment of character, and I miss all the time too. It's not about how you hire, it's about how you fire.
All right, and Amanda Davis will have our last question with, do you have any employees that work from home? Why or why not?
I don't. And this is a controversial one. I hope Jason Fried's not here. I don't, because I'm selfish and I like team. And I want to see them, and I want to hug them, and I want to see that they changed their hair color from pink to blue, and I want to see their fucking face. And so I respect the value of why people think working from home's awesome. I don't think anything should be definitive. I understand why some people might want to go 4 days and 1 day, 3 and 2. For me, in the way that I think I can be successful, not only for myself, but for that employee, I need to be in the same places as them. I need to see them, I need to feel it, I need to taste the energy in the room, I need to look them in their eye, look in their fucking ear, I need to look at them. And so I can't have that if they're at home, and that's it. So for me, it doesn't work. In my businesses, I get to be a dictator. You can be a dictator in yours if you don't like my fucking idea, and we'll see what works for who and how, but for me, no.
All right, let's all give a thank you to Gary Vee.
Hold on!
Oh.
First, I want to give you a thank you for giving me your attention. You had plenty of things you could have done. Second, I'd love to meet some of you one-on-one. The best chance is going to be in the book signing. You don't have to buy a fucking book. I'm playing the long game. Come and say hello picture. Third, I know a lot of you have been to South by before. I'm definitely doing my secret wine party. The wine's here. I think I'm going to do it tonight. Follow it on Twitter. And fourth, I love you. Thank you.